Hello, dear friends. This is Jeannie from Dollhouse Rescue. Welcome back to my workshop. I have had a busy few weeks, and I bet you have too. I have not yet had a chance to show you the details on one of my favorite houses that I've ever gotten. I've only had this a few weeks, but I've not had a chance to show it to you in detail. Now, this house I got recently from Facebook Marketplace. It's a really pretty color. It's got a nice gable up here and it's in lovely condition. But I think this house is kind of rare. It's supposed to have 3 wrought iron pillars here. This one only has 2, but you can get replacements on these from an Etsy shop that Bill Young runs, and I'm going to put a link to that in my description. So if you need replacement parts, you'll know where you can get them. This house is similar to one that a lot of times we call the Marx carport house, because there is a house very similar to this with pillars like this that has a carport over here. But you can see this one does not have a carport. I think this house might be a little more rare. I have not seen this house very often. The carport house has some of these wrought iron pillars. Well, they're actually plastic, but they look like wrought iron. But it also has some little shorter pillars that have a horse's head on them. This house did not have that originally. It had 3 of these black wrought iron pillars instead. I'm going to turn it around so that you can see this rare room, how pretty it is on the inside. So now you can see this has a room here rather than a carport. I'm going to show you a close-up of that room in a minute. But the rest of the house has got this more modern interior. I think sometimes they call this the suburban interior. I like to call it the one with the orange rug in the living room. It's got the battery holder here for a light up here on the ceiling of the living room. Now, I don't know if that will work. I see there's a wire hanging loose. I don't know if I'm smart enough to rewire that or not. I might take a look at it. If not, sometimes people take that battery holder out if they can't get that little light to work. We'll see. I had another house not too long ago that I was able to get that light to work, but that one didn't have a wire hanging out like this one. So I don't know. Overall, this house is in wonderful condition. I want to show you a close-up of this particular room because I do think it's kind of rare. Look at that fireplace wall. Isn't that beautiful? The back wall's got the window and the curtain, and then over here it's got a couple of things, pictures hanging, graphics hanging up on the wall. I think those are flying ducks. And look at the floor. I think this version of this house is pretty rare. I have rarely ever seen one before. But now I feel so lucky to actually have one. I'm very thankful to the nice lady on Facebook Marketplace that agreed to ship this to me. This house is in near mint condition. It has a few condition issues that I'm going to deal with in separate videos, but let me give you an overview of what they are. First of all, this lovely little, I don't know, rumpus room or recreation room or den, I guess it is missing tabs along the bottom here so that, you know, kind of those walls wobble in and out. And the same, I think, here on the back of the house, it's missing one of these pillars, which I actually have a replacement for that. And the other thing is, and you might not be able to see this, but the whole bottom of this house is kind of concave, like bent down through the years. It's bent down. So I'm not going to disassemble the whole house, but I'm going to undo the tabs, lift this house off, replace the tabs here. I'm going to straighten this out so it's not bent anymore. There's no rust on this whole house, and there's no serious dents other than this being caved in. And then my great idea to give this a little support is I have saved quite a few of these small lids off of the top of water bottles, and I'm going to hot glue them under this after I straighten that out to give that floor support so it will never cave in again. I'm just going to dot hot glue and put them all under the bottom of this so you won't see them to give that whole house support. Now, if those aren't quite deep enough, I've got some from pop bottles that I'll use instead. But I'll just have to measure and see which one's the right size to give that house support. It's also missing its chimney, but you know that's not a big deal for me. First of all, I usually take those off anyway. They make them so tall on your shelf, it's hard to make them fit on a shelf. But if I want to replace that chimney, you know, I will make one and I'll match this pattern and I will make a replacement chimney for that if I think I want one. But not only did I get this fabulously beautiful house that I'm just in love with, but it came with a whole bag of furniture. I'm going to set this out so you can get a look at it. Here we go. Now, most of this furniture, I think, is original to this house. There are a few pieces missing, but most of these I do think are original. When you get down to here, these two are not. These are marked little kittles on them. So they're cute little cribs, but they don't go. This is drawers to something. I don't know what. Maybe somebody in my audience would know. And this is not marked, but it reminds me of like Tommy or Tommy furniture. That looks like it'd be a old-fashioned speaker to a stereo. I'm not sure what that is. But the rest of these, I think, are French provincial pieces, which would have been original to this house. And I've got 3 family members here, too. So we've got the bed, we've got another bed, a little vanity. This should have had, I think, 3 or 4 of these little white chairs. These brown ones should have had a brown table that went with them, which is not here. This piano I've already upgraded by adding a keyboard and a piece of music, but that would have been original. And these pieces in this section, I think, went in that little den or rumpus room, because this is what would have come in the Marx rumpus room that is more common. It's got a jukebox, a little TV and record player, a little red table and chair, and a ping pong table. And those would have been original to what we would have called the rumpus room. So I think that's what's going to go in that little room down there at the end. So I'm very happy with this. I'm just in love with the furniture. The little suite, look at the little dresser. So nice. Very nice furniture. Very mid-century modern. And look at this sweet little couch or sofa, and it's got pillows on it. I don't know. I think those are original. They're glued on there. I don't know. Maybe they were added later. I just don't know enough about that furniture to know. But they're very, very cute. Here is the original. I think that's the French provincial stove and sink for the kitchen. And this one, see, is a little bigger. And it's also marked Marx, but I see it's a little bit bigger. So I don't think that came with the set because we already have a sink for the kitchen. So I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to replace those tabs. I'm going to straighten this out. So if you're interested in seeing me do that check back, I will do a video of that, but it'll be a separate video. And I'm just going to take that part off and then take it loose from the bottom and get it fixed up, and then this house is going to be perfect. Thanks so much for joining me. Remember, you always have a friend here in Iowa, and Grandma Jeannie loves you. Thank you.